about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
All right, we are back at the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dahlia, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So while a good portion of the Southwest United States is in a heat wave, and it's frustrating because it's only March, you know, I didn't get to see any snow this winter. I'm really, really upset about that. But, and I know the northern states are like, we got enough snow. We got enough snow. I'm going to try to make it up to Alaska later this summer to hopefully see a glacier or two. Do some fishing. But I had a patient over the weekend who said she got stung 4 times by a scorpion. And I was going, 4 times? You know, after the first time, did you tell it shoo? Well, what ended up happening was because of the heat, she lives in Southern Nevada, and I don't blame her for this, they dry their clothes outside. In fact, I've actually started drying my hair outside. I just go outside for a little bit, walk the dog. I don't have to sit there for 20 minutes because I hurt my arm. It's really hard to sit there and blow dry my hair, especially since I'm right-handed. So you could just go outside and dry things. Well, apparently the clothes were outside drying and the scorpions climb walls. They climb. They don't have to be on flat, horizontal land. And so she puts her pants on, and I guess the scorpion didn't like that, stings her. She's like, well, what was that? So she kind of smacks it or scratches it. Then it happens again. Well, by the time she takes her pants off, it got her 4 times. Now, scorpion stings, for the most part, if you're a healthy adult, you know, you'll overcome. They'll be fairly benign. But if it's the Arizona bark scorpion, I think what Centroides scopteritus, genius species name. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Those things have a neurotoxin, and the venom is pretty bad. And so if you have a child that's stung, especially when they're under 5, you got to take them in and get antivenom. If you are older, immunocompromised, you're going to need antivenom. They have an Ascor, which will block the venom, but you gotta get it within the first 4 hours. ERs may give it to you after that window, but you got to get in there pretty quickly. And most urgent cares, from what I understand, don't stock it. It's mostly an ER, so I don't want you waiting 3-4 hours at an urgent care, and definitely don't be waiting in a TSA line at the airport. God bless our TSA agents for what's going on at the airports. So what basically was scorpion season, and we're in full sting of scorpion season. Scorpions like to come out between March and October. Kind of when I get to see the tarantulas in my neighborhood. It's also snake season because these animals with exoskeletons, they really don't like the cold. And in especially the desert communities, it gets pretty cold at night. So they'll start to come out when it warms up. And now that we're having a very warm March, you're starting to see more of them. And they hunt insects. They'll come out a lot at night. If they don't like the heat, and they don't like the inclement weather, they'll come into your house. I posted a picture of I was ready to make lemonade for the family, and when I grabbed the pitcher, I saw something move, and there was a scorpion in the lemonade pitcher. Now, I understand scorpions need water and they need fluid, but when I talked to neighbors who said, oh yeah, I'm seeing them in the kitchen, we figured that the scorpions were climbing the house, going to the roof, and then getting in through some of the light fixtures. I don't know how that happened because I don't think we have an attic in our house. So they get in somehow, and they are plopping into our lemonade pitchers. That's crazy stuff. So, but that's what they do. So, and then I have 2 cats, one of whom likes to bring scorpions inside the house. She will find them and bring them inside the house. Now, your pets are also at risk. If you get stung by a scorpion, the neurotoxin could cause difficulty breathing, muscle twitching, drooling, confusion. It's not good. And that's why we want to make sure you get antivenom as quickly as possible. Not everybody needs the antivenom, but if you're immunocompromised, if you're a kid, if you're an older person, Or if you got stung 4 times, like my patient that got stung 4 times, I'm like, don't even mess around. Another thing you need to also do is understand that they will hide. Okay, they don't want to be in plain sight. Now, by the way, the Arizona bark scorpion is one of the most dangerous. We believe it came with the Mexican palms that got brought in. We got a lot of them as landscaping and trees come in, and they know how to live and hide out in crevices. So when you are worried about them being in your house, before you get dressed, you got to shake out your pants. You got to shake out the shoes. They love shoes because they're moist and they're shaded and so they like to get in there. So you got to shake it out. The last thing you want to get is a scorpion sting on your toe, which is unfortunately is where we see a lot of common stings. Another thing you want to do is move your bed away from the wall. These scorpions climb the walls. I don't know if you guys remember, it was years ago. It was probably about 13 years ago, where I was taking a shower and I went to reach for the towel and my eyes were kind of closed because of the water. And when I opened my eyes, there's a scorpion with the stinger sticking out. And I grabbed a picture of that and I posted it on Facebook. And my husband and my oldest son were out of town. So I called my younger son. I got dressed already. I called my younger son and he was scared, and so then I go on Facebook and I go, guys, what do? I mean, I almost got stung by the scorpion. It's on the wall. It's too big for a shoe. And so some of you had suggested that I get a flamethrower. Another one of you suggested that I contact SWAT. But I ended up getting a cup and a piece of cardboard, and then I took it outside and I let it go and live. But anyway, they climb walls, these suckers. Now, everybody says if you kill a scorpion, you got to clean up the evidence, because other scorpions come and it attracts other scorpions. You would think other scorpions, if they saw a dead scorpion, they would flee and say, you know what, I'm out of here, let's bounce. But unfortunately for some of them, and maybe it's because they eat each other, because one thing I noticed with that picture is you see the live scorpion and then you see a separate stinger. And so you're wondering, did it eat the other one? So if God forbid you get stung, elevate the limb, wash it off really good, cool compresses. You could use antihistamines or Tylenol, and then get yourself checked out. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
right. We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc Dahlia, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. I don't want to say I told you so, guys, but this shutdown thing is just dragging on and dragging on and dragging on. And these poor TSA agents, you keep hearing stories where these TSA agents are going to food banks. They're trying to do GoFundMes. They're finding ways to support their family. Why? Because the Democrats and Republicans are going back and forth about ICE agents. And it's like, come on, fund the government, keep the government, do your job. And I love how we spoke about this yesterday. Delta said, you know what, guys, you don't get special treatment. I mean, if our airlines are suffering because Congress won't continue to fund the government because they want to use it as an opportunity to negotiate changes, no, it's to the back of the line until you guys get this figured out. And I don't want to say I told you so, but honestly, if we would have just day one closed down the airports for a day, it would have, shut down. TSA agents aren't getting paid. TSA agents, you could go home. You're not going to get paid. Once Congress decides to pay you, you could come back. I got to tell you, in one day, the funding would have been continued. I mean, come on. I mean, the only reason why we're not talking about SNAP benefits is because luckily Congress was smart enough after the last showdown and shutdown and screw around that happened in December. They said, you know what we're going to do? Okay, we're going to fund SNAP. Now, it only is funded till, I think, September. But you're not going to do this to people, in every couple months. And interestingly, the Democratic senators that finally were like Jackie Rosen was like, Ocasio-Cortez or Cortez Masto wasn't wrong. Yeah, but why? Because Nevadans were ticked. Yeah, and, so our senators had to listen to Nevadans. Luckily, Cortez Masto was already on board. She's like, I'm telling you right now, I'm here to serve my constituents. They don't like this BS. So I'm not going to, be a part of it. So what's fascinating, though, is how we have the system is don't panic if there's a shutdown because we'll still work. And based on the honor system and by the good graces, hopefully people will show up to work still. Well, they're really overestimating that sort of sentiment, especially when we're going into over a month long with this. So who is salvaging the situation? ICE agents. Trump is now sending ICE agents to the airports to help out the TSA. And then eventually they're going to have to then use the National Guard. Why? Because Democrats don't want to sign the bill to continue the funding. Now, and I get the Democrats want to use this as an opportunity to fine tune what ICE will do. They got the midterms coming up. They got to show their constituents that if this is what their constituents wanted, where ICE agents wear masks or don't wear masks or whatever. I think the mask thing is ridiculous because they are, removing cartel members and Iranian, cell members and things like that. They don't need them and their family and their coworkers. Or, another thing too that has been happening. These AI software is sometimes not getting it right. And so there's a lot of are they called doppelgangers where there's somebody out there that looks just like you? Yeah, I heard that my doppelganger is Margot Robbie. That's what I heard. Okay. Now, does she look exactly like me? She wishes. No. She's beautiful. But they're trying to dox and identify and make sure that people now see this. You know how many people look alike? You're putting other Americans at risk when you don't let, the authorities do what they need to do. And, it's interesting because if I'm dealing with a medical emergency, let's say out there in the street, or I'm doing a drive along with paramedics, you don't have bystanders videotaping because the patient needs privacy. You're trying to perform work. Authorities and city officials say, guys, out of here with your cameras. Same thing with an arrest. we're seeing people get arrested on video cameras. And everybody's like, well, I got to video camera this because then I could get some more TikTok views and more social media cred. What about the privacy of the person getting arrested? If you notice during the Biden administration, when people were coming across the border, some of the news outlets were blurring the faces because they didn't want to put those people at risk, getting them, or people who look like them, identified as, well, these are illegal immigrants. So there was, but now everybody's videotaping, they're putting it out there. Where's the protection? And so it's taking now TSA to go to ICE and needing, or ICE needing to help out TSA, because I think at the Houston airport, 35% of the TSA agents called out. I mean, I don't blame them. Yeah, especially if they have to find other jobs. And we're finding that a good number, I think 430 TSA agents quit. You know how we lost air traffic controllers with the last shutdown? Now TSA agents are like, I can't do this. I don't need this. Especially when I have buddies who are working remotely. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to be at risk? Not to mention, people are pretty grumpy. So now you're hearing stories from people where they had 5-hour waits. Now, some individuals, if they have the clear or the TSA pre-check, it might be going quicker. But the average person that doesn't have that, or who isn't flying first class, because sometimes first class has a special line. That's why Delta and these other airlines are starting to crack down on Congress people, because their first class passengers are getting kind of ticked, because the reason why they're paying for that is so they get to go through TSA quickly. And if they don't, they're like, well, then why am I paying for this? And then if I'm missing that flight, that's a lot harder for these airlines. You know, when they upset the rich people, so that's why you're starting to get these airlines going, no, you're ruining it for our club members and everybody else. Although they don't say that, they say it, well, you're hurting our passengers, but they're first class people and their club members are complaining because they don't get to use the lounge because they're late. Obviously there should be more to, now I'm kind of itchy because of the scorpion story. You know, I'm like feeling like, God, and I feel something here, like I got stung by something. God, I hope I didn't get anything. Oh, we'll figure it out. Could be shingles. Yeah, by the way, as an aside, when you call up saying I got bit multiple times, there's a good chance that could be shingles. So, just have an open mind when you talk to us and we ask you questions about your chickenpox. But going back to, what do you do if you're dealing with these lines? So there was this one lady who had a flight, and I guess she asked her child, what time are we supposed to get there? And her child, I think, was like a teenager or young adult. And they got it mixed up. They said AM instead of PM. And she laughed, and she's like, no, it's PM. But we'll get to the airport early because there's lines. And so she got to the airport 4 hours early. She was in line for 5 hours. And so it just didn't, it didn't work. What a lot of people are doing is they're trying to now get TSA pre-check to see if they could go to the faster line. Keep in mind, there's some airports where if you don't have enough TSA agents for the pre-check, for the first class, for the other TSA, they're going to have all people on deck. So don't be surprised if TSA pre-check is now getting combined, because a lot of people are now trying to rush to get TSA pre-check where you can pay, you can go through background checks and things like that. It's good. It's very helpful. But I'm noticing now everybody and their mother is TSA pre-check. So, the lines are getting longer. But that is an option for you to apply for TSA pre-check. Another option is to apply for the clear, where they do biometric screening, where you just go up to the machine and that lets you through. It's interesting. When I was overseas, they don't need as many staff because everything is automatic, and you show your passport, they look at you, you smile, they take a picture of you, and I'm fixing my hair, and you see the guard go, you don't need to do that. And I go, you guys are pretty handsome. Yeah, I do. I was like, all right, go ahead, take your picture. That's how, gives you a chance to flirt with some of the officers. You don't need to do that. It's ridiculous. Move. Lech lecha. I'm like, I need to do a picture. Leave me alone. I'm like, okay. So, I got my picture taken because, listen, they're going to hold this picture for a long time. And so I don't want people thinking I'm a terrorist. And the average terrorist doesn't, look like Phyllis Diller, smiling, that kind of thing. So I smile, let their guard down, or so people don't, panic that here I come. But, if you're in these lines, people are freaking out because they're like, well, I need to pee. I need to eat. So let's say you have to pee and you're standing in these long lines. If you ask the person behind you, will they hold your place to go and pee. I wouldn't advise that because they might say yes and then not be there for you. So what you need to do is when you have to go pee, you want to tell everybody, go, guys, I got to go to the bathroom. Are you okay with me running to the bathroom and then coming back? And then we'll also cover you guys too. Get more people involved. So when you come back and they go, you're not screwed. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
And we are back on the Dr. Dolly Show, 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So the Army has raised its maximum enlistment age to 42. Now, I know some people are shocked by this, going, wait a second, is a draft coming? No, I don't think a draft is coming. But the Army wants to not necessarily curtail individuals who want to help and join based on age. This isn't the first time the Army has raised their maximum enlistment age, but currently they raised it from 35 years old to 42. You can join the regular Army, the Army National Guard, the Army Reserve, according to an updated Army regulation. The policy has left unchanged the minimum age for enlisting, which is 17 years old with parental consent, or 18 years old. You can't be 14. And you can't wait till you're 22. So 17-year-olds, apparently with parental consent, according to the Mirror, U.S., are able to join the military. Now, they say the last time the Army did temporarily raise their maximum enlistment age was back in 2006, when the service faced recruitment challenges during operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Army subsequently lowered its enlistment age back to 35 in 2016. And so, according to the updated regulation, applicant is eligible for enlistment if applicant is at least 17 years of age and up to and including age 42, exceptions not authorized. Applicants who are 17 years of age require parental or guardian consent for enlistment through completion of appropriate sections of DD Form 1966. So, I'm not of that age. I'm a little older than that, so I would not get to apply. Actually, I do get to if I want to as a doctor. They would, I guess, if I follow all the protocols and do all the training, I would enlist as a captain. They give doctors that rank. And I've been offered multiple times, and it's been actually something that I have been seriously considering. Captain Dr. Dahlia, yeah. Yeah, no, it's not because I want to be around all the sexy men in uniforms. That's a perk, but it's because my father was military, my grandfather was police. I come from a family, who served their country. My mother's side of the family, they had military, obviously, experience, and so it's something I always wanted to have, and I feel really guilty. Of everything I've done in life, a big regret I've had is that I didn't serve my country in that manner. And interestingly, when I was in college, that was when the Persian Gulf War was going on. And I remember talking to my friends about, I think, we should be helping. I don't like the idea that I'm here, going to school, trying to get into medical school. And I remember my counselor and everybody saying, but look, if you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be serving in another capacity. You're serving your country in the military is one of the biggest honors you could do, but you're also serving your country in medicine. So I kind of told myself that if I didn't get into medical school, I would then go military because I wanted to serve in some capacity. Well, I ended up getting into medical school. But then why not now? Why don't I then now? Because the Army and the military do need doctors. And this is where it's selfish. This is where the selfish part of me is. So when I talked to the recruiter, I had told them about some of the, shall we say, commitments I have. In terms of teaching, in terms of radio, in terms of, and obviously the military was not as flexible with that. And, one thing that, sadly, the military has the reputation of, which is understandably so and justified in some cases, but where you go through the recruitment process and they'll say, you want to be a mechanic, you get to be a mechanic. Or you want to do this, you get to do this. You want to be stationed here, you get to be stationed here. And then once you're in, there's no appeals. There's no, you do what they want you to do. And so for me to have a nationally syndicated show and commitments with media, it's a little difficult to then, what they say, no, you can't, do your radio show now. You can't do this. You can't. I would have to involve a lot of other people in this decision making, and I just wasn't ready to do that. But I still want to serve somehow. So I'm looking at it. But what's happening? Well, with Iran, Trump did offer a ceasefire and offer a 15-point peace plan. Iran didn't like it. I think they wiped their butt with it. Pentagon chiefs have thus ordered, according to Daily Mail, 2,000 paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne Division to the Middle East. They're already joining 4,500 Marines who are already en route to the region. And they say that the president is prepared to pull the trigger on a full-scale invasion if Tehran continues to, give him the finger as it pertains to diplomatic overtures and diplomatic recommendations. And so the 15-point plan was modeled on Trump's Gaza deal. It would require Iran to dismantle all nuclear and long-range missile capabilities, open the Strait of Hormuz, and abandon proxy terror groups, like stop funding Hamas, stop funding Hezbollah. But Iranian state TV on Wednesday, according to Daily Mail, said that the regime had rejected the ceasefire proposal, and they are demanding the closure of all U.S. bases in the Gulf, reparations, and an end to Israeli military strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. And Tehran also wants to have the strait, which is a choke point for roughly a fifth of the world's oil, completely under its control. Now, other countries don't like that. Saudi Arabia doesn't want that. Yeah. The Trump officials described their demands as ridiculous, unrealistic, not going to happen. Ceding control of the Strait of Hormuz remains, I guess, a non-starter for Saudi Arabia. They want Trump to stay in the fight. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has repeatedly urged Trump to finish the Islamic regime. So, as I said, this is something where Israel and America are doing other countries' dirty work. They don't want Iran in control. And Saudi Arabia has been using a lot of common sense. Saudi Arabia has been working, United Arab Emirates, they've been working with America and Israel because they understand how peace makes them more profitable. The idea of, well, we need to annihilate Israel. Israel has just a sliver of land among the whole Middle East. I think maybe 1/1000th the acreage of all the other countries combined. And the call for, well, Israel has to be completely demolished, and that's not in the best interest of these other countries. In fact, especially when Israel seems to keep in check a lot of the terrorists, as well as get proper intelligence on that. And so, seeing these other countries go, come on, Trump, finish the job, do what you have to do. Why is it taking so long? Well, Iran is a big country. And they have been stockpiling and very heavily funded, thanks to Barack Obama, for decades, and if not longer. And so, and they know how to hide things well, and still their capabilities have been, decimated. 80-90% we're being told. So they are going to lose control. However, the ceasefire was something that kind of shocked me, where there would be a ceasefire, and I think it's because America's worried that Iran might, at a last resort effort, go and start, sending missiles or nukes, to nearby Europe and other countries. So, the regime, I say, has to go. And one thing that worries me about any ceasefire is that the regime allows to still exist and regroup. I know Trump doesn't want to do that. And I know a lot of people are looking at Trump as, he's only president for a couple more years. Whoever is next might not have the ability to do what needs to be done. And so if you're going to get something done, get it done now. And that seems to be the consensus. So, Trump has announced a 5-day halt to U.S. strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure, urging Tehran to return to the negotiating table. But if they don't, the U.S. is bringing the rain. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
All right, we are back on Dr. Dahlia's show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I was a brownie for a very small amount of time. I was a brownie and a Girl Scout. I wasn't able to stay because my folks moved a lot. So you can't keep switching troops. And since I went to 12 schools, I wasn't able to continue being a brownie or Girl Scout. And but I support my little sisters, and what they do. But interestingly, Girl Scout cookie season causes some stress. And the Girl Scout cookie industry, I'm being told it's like $1 billion revenue. It's $1 billion market. $1 billion these Girl Scouts get in cookies. Good for them. Good for them. I like that they're learning about selling and marketing. But the truth of the matter is many people are moaning, going, oh no, it's a Girl Scout cookie season. Why? Why is Girl Scout cookie season an issue? Why is anybody criticizing it? Well, some of you may work in a location or in a company where somebody has a child that is selling Girl Scout cookies. And so they come up to you and they go, my child is selling Girl Scout cookies. Now, if this person has any pull in the company, you don't want to say no to them. So then you're like, oh, okay. How much is the box? About $6, $7. The flavors, do you guys have just basic chocolate chip? No, you'll have to buy, like the butter or the peanut butter. And you're like, oh gosh, and you're like, all right, I'll buy one box. Here's my $6 or $7 for one box of cookies that I really don't want. Although I am hearing that the Girl Scouts are having a Rocky Road type cookie. I got to look into that because I will buy that. That does sound intriguing. But anyway, so you pull together whatever cash you have to give them $6 or $7. Then somebody else walks up going, oh, Girl Scout cookies? Put me down for 10 boxes. Okay, so now this coworker is looking at that person like, all right, I'm going to be recommending you for the raise. And you're here going, oh God, I mean, I don't even, okay, well, I guess I'll buy 10 also. And now, whenever you see that person, you're like, oh God, they're going to make me buy. I once worked at a place where I had to remind them that I already bought the cookies, and that was awkward. Somebody came up saying, hi, my daughter's selling Girl Scout cookies. Will you buy some? I'm like, I bought 3 boxes. You remember you wanted me to, and you forgot, which means I don't even get credit for those. And now there's this awkwardness and I have to turn you down and everybody's watching. And now they think I'm lying. This is really awkward. So the unspoken truth is your coworkers do not like the Girl Scout cookie season. And they're like, well, no, of course they do. They all go, yum. I love Girl Scout cookies. Well, of course they're going to. If you're in a position of power, yeah. And it's not just somebody who's your superior. You don't want to tick off anybody. Lateral, anybody that you might supervise, you don't want to tick them off. And so you feel compelled to buy a cookie you don't want. Now, on the other end, I think the Girl Scout cookie campaign is brilliant. To have young women who are learning marketing, learning sales, learning about how, a little bit of the capitalistic world works. I like that. Because just asking for money and asking for donations is good for those of us that go into fundraising. But the majority of these people are going to be going into customer service, and these customers need to pay. And they need to, so you're actually raising money for your company by giving them a product. And it's forcing you to, greet people, talk to them, do some salesmanship. And we all know the girls that got the marketing talent, like, excuse me, ma'am. Hi, sorry. I know you're busy and I know you're, but would your child like some, Girl Scout cookies? We're doing this for Billy. And then the child's like, yeah, mommy. And, you're incorporating their child, or your adorable, child. And they, there's like ways where you could do it. And you could really sell the Girl Scout cookies good, and make, but another reason why a lot of people don't like this is they're really watching their carbs, or they're on Ozempic or whatever. And now they're feeling forced to buy from a coworker something that now has high calories, and now they have to have Girl Scout cookies. Plus, a lot of people don't like the Girl Scout cookies. So they put them out there on their desk. So now you're walking around work and you're seeing the Girl Scout cookie box and you're like, there's cookies out there. And they're like, yeah, eat them. My family doesn't eat Girl Scout cookies. I don't like the taste. And they don't have just basic chocolate chip or Oreo type. So I got to get rid of them because I can't bring them home. And so then now you're like eating a cookie you don't want and you don't want to be around that sugar. But, what does the money go to? Well, about $800 million to $1 billion a year. This is what they bring in with the Girl Scout cookies. It goes to a lot of their programs, we're being told. It goes to staff. It goes to supplies. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And I don't mind that because people are getting a product. Now, a small box of cookies for $6, $7 is a lot. Especially when now you could get cookies at the grocery store for about $4.50 or $5 a box, and they're bigger, right? Because remember, Girl Scout cookies used to be cheaper. So you used to get a good deal, where you could buy a box for $2, $3. Now that they're more expensive, Girl Scouts are going to have to kind of rethink that. And I understand there's a lot of marketing going on, and if they could get the money, they could get the money. Nobody wants to turn down a Girl Scout, and people kind of fear Girl Scouts, especially was it dodgeball? When a bunch of Girl Scouts were playing dodgeball, these girls can, and I'm sure their pickleball skills are top-notch too. So if you have a child, then you're like, I need to sell, because what do they do? Well, there's there's incentives, and they teach these kids that the more you sell, the more it benefits you. See, I don't mind that. I really don't. I know some people are really anti the whole Girl Scout cookie thing. I don't mind that because I love the idea of competition. I love the idea of, you don't work, you don't eat. Get that umph going. Now, there is a problem when you have a child where they know they're going to lose. There's going to be some super marketing person out there, some Elon Musk, right, in the group, and you're going to be like, oh, man, there is just no way. So I don't know how they've stratified the incentives lately, but the idea that, one, this is helping your troop, two, it's a group effort. And I mean, yeah, you could do things from you can do things from a sports standpoint. There's not a lot of kid groups where can they outsell another group. And for those of us who really like finance, I think it's pretty cool. So they got to be really careful if somebody doesn't sell or their family works in a corporation where they don't. So one thing what you might want to do is if you want to get your Girl Scout cookies sold, which, by the way, enlisting mom or dad to run around with the form, mom and dad don't like doing it, but they're trying to help out their kid, and they're trying to use their influence over people they supervise to get them to buy. And I get it. And I'd want to help my child too, but it's supposed to be the children selling them. So that is kind of cheating. But if you do want to get your coworkers to buy overpriced cookies that they don't want to eat, one thing you might want to do is have like a crowdfunding thing, and say, hey guys, look, I know it's kind of expensive, right? And so maybe everybody put in a few bucks, and whatever we're able to put in together, we'll get Girl Scout cookies. Just tell us what to order. And then it'll be under that one person, because it has to be under a person's name. But this way, if somebody doesn't want to spend $7 a box, there's a way to get them to throw some money in, and you're not necessarily making people feel like, they're bad if they're not buying 10 boxes. Who knew? It causes stress and anxiety. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by financial fitness show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.